Elizabeth I, daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, was Queen of England and Ireland for 45 years, and the reign is regarded as the golden period of English history. She was nicknamed Gloriana and the Virgin Queen because she never married, devoting her life to her beloved kingdom. After 20 years of political and economic disorders, she brought unity, defeating England's enemies inside and outside the country. Her court was brilliant, and poets and musicians like Shakespeare and Marlowe were anxious to honor her. When Elizabeth came to the throne in 1558 after the death of her sister Mary, she needed the support of all her people. The monarch used to make a tour of the country and show himself to the people. However, Elizabeth was Protestant, and even though she didn't want to persecute any of her people, she had many Catholic enemies, and especially during her first years of reign, it was not safe for her to travel around the country. She chose instead to use portraits to show herself to her people and impress their imagination. So portraits became the symbolism of her power. They started to be copied and distributed throughout the land, and even the nobility had portraits of the Queen as a symbol of loyalty to her. The first portrait of Elizabeth by William Scroats conveys her beauty, dignity, gentleness and learning. The Clapton portrait gives us some idea of the Queen's physical appearance: a pale-faced woman with reddish gold hair, thin lips and pronounced cheekbones. White skin was fashionable at Tudor times, as it distinguished the rich from the poor. In the Darnley portrait make their first appearance a crown and a scepter. It's the first time they are used as symbol of sovereignty. The Pelican portrait is the first one depicting the Queen wearing elaborate clothes and jewelry. The imperial crown, which is on top of both a rose on the left and a fleur-de-lis on the right, symbolizes dynastic claims to both England and France. The pelican pendant on her breast represents a self-sacrifice, as a legend said that it drew blood from its breast to feed its children. It alludes to the role of Elizabeth as mother to the nation. Along with the pelican, the phoenix portrait depicts Elizabeth in her early 40s, and by the time it was depicted, the image of the Virgin Queen had developed and alluded more and more to her unmarried status. The jewel at her breast is a phoenix, a mythical bird symbolizing rebirth and chastity. It represents her virginity, while the red rose symbolizes the Tudor dynasty. The Steve portrait celebrates the Queen's chastity and purity. In ancient Rome, Vestal virgins took vows of chastity and were attendants of Vesta, goddess of art and home. The pillar on the left, symbol of the imperialism, depicts the story of Dido and Aeneas. Aeneas resisted Dido's advances and went on to found the Roman Empire. In the Armada portrait, the symbolic elements are the pears, symbol of purity, the imperial crown, and Elizabeth's right hand resting upon a globe, symbolizing her fingers upon the Americas. In the background, scenes from the defeat of the Spanish Armada symbolize the great triumph of the English. The rainbow portrait is perhaps the most heavily symbolic portrait of the Queen. In this painting, Elizabeth wears a cloak, decorated with eyes and ears, which means that she sees and hears everything. Her headdress is decorated with pearls and rubies and supports a royal crown. The pearls symbolize her virginity, the crown her royalty. Along her left arm, a jeweled serpent captures a heart-shaped ruby. The serpent symbolizes wisdom, while the ruby represents the Queen's heart. This means that the Queen's passions are controlled by her wisdom. Elizabeth's right hand holds a rainbow with the Latin inscription No sine sole iris, no rainbow without the sun. The rainbow symbolizes peace, while the sun is the British Empire. This means that only a great power can ensure peace and harmony. Elizabeth was in her 60s when the portrait was painted, but for iconographic reasons she was still depicted as an ageless goddess. As we have seen, the way the Queen was painted changed over the course of her reign. In the early years, Elizabeth was portrayed with little symbolism, only to convey that she was the monarch. Then, the combination of the Renaissance style and the Queen's mythical popularity gradually emerged, resulting in portraits that contributed to create and increase what has been called the cult of Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen.